Hi, hello, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Maddie. I like to read books, and that's about it. And for today being December 23rd, which means it's almost Christmas Eve and Christmas, and also it is almost the end of 2024. And I'm going to try to finish all the books that I'm currently in the middle of before 2024 ends. So let's finish out my TBR together. Well, let's talk about the books that I'm currently in the middle of. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I already filmed this once before, but I literally forgot to hit record on my phone, so none of it recorded and I'm redoing it. So bear with me. But the first book that I'm currently reading, which if you follow me on here or anywhere else, you already know that I've been reading this book for some time right now. It is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. And I've been reading this book for the last few months, and it's not because I'm reading it slowly because I haven't been enjoying it, but it's because I'm intentionally slow reading the book and I'm annotating it as I go on. But if you didn't know, The Secret History is divided technically into two books, book one and book two. I'm currently on book two, and I've been reading book two a lot faster than book one, not because I thought book one was like boring, but I feel like book one was a lot of setup into the world, the setting, the characters, and there was just a lot of hints of what was going to come later on in the book. So now that I'm in book two, which I feel like is really the meat and potatoes of the book, and the event has already happened, and it's just like the aftermath of it, it's been much more exciting to read about, and I feel like I've just been reading it a lot faster because of that. Currently on page 354, this book is 559 pages, so it's quite a chunky book, but I'm almost done with it, and I definitely think I will be finishing this book before 2024 ends. Also, I'm currently reading A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. I actually got an e-arc of this book, which I was so excited when I got that, because if you don't already know, I recently read The Unmaking of June Farrow by the same author, and I loved that book so much. That was a 5-star read for me. I love the plot, I love the characters, I love the writing style. I just thought it was such a beautiful story. So I was really excited when I got the arc for A Sea of Unspoken Things. Which, speaking of, I'm currently on chapter 4 of that book. I don't know what page it's on off the top of my head, but just know I'm like in the beginning stages of the book, and I went into this book completely blind. Like, I don't remember the plot or premise of it at all. So I'm literally finding it out as I'm reading the book, which I feel like is the best reading experience in my opinion. But what I can tell you about this book is it's about twins. One of the twin passes away and the other twin senses it happening, and as a result the other twin returns back to their hometown, which is a really small, remote-ish town. And she goes back essentially to find out what happened to her twin, because her twin passed away during a hunting accident, but it may not have been a hunting accident. And also, there's a whole nother reason why she hasn't returned back to their hometown, but we as the reader don't know that quite yet. It just feels like it has a little bit of magical realism, a little bit of a mystery, a little bit of a drama, and it sounds exactly right up my alley. So I'm really excited to continue on reading that book. For my third and final book, which I'm probably going to start later tonight, it is Cursed by Marissa Meyer. This is book two in the Gilded duology. I recently just finished book one, Gilded. I did a buddy read of it with my friend, and we both really liked it. If you didn't know, Gilded is a YA fantasy duology, and it's a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. And quite honestly, before reading Gilded, I did not remember the tale of Rumpelstiltskin at all. So I was going into that book not really knowing what happened during the original tale of it, so it was a lot of fun. Not gonna lie, for book one, Gilded, the beginning was kind of slow, just in terms of like the setup, and I feel like I was waiting for the big thing to happen in the book for me to be invested and care about what I'm reading. But I will say the ending of Gilded was absolutely wild. I was not expecting all that happened. It went off. So definitely the ending made me excited to read book 2, Cursed. Like I said, I'm probably going to start Cursed tonight, and I'm also doing another buddy read of it with my same friend. So I think we will definitely finish that one before 2024 ends as well. But yeah, I have 3 books right now that I want to finish before 2024 ends and to finish out my 2024 TBR. I'm not gonna lie, there were other books on my 2024 TBR that I wanted to read and I haven't gotten to yet. But I don't know if I'm gonna end up starting and finishing them before 2024 ends, so they might have to be pushed into 2025, but we will see and find out throughout the course of this video together. Because as of December 23rd, who knows what is going to happen. It's my long-winded spiel about all the books that I'm currently in the middle of and or that I'm going to start reading. So let's get to reading. It's currently Christmas Day. I didn't end up filming anything yesterday, which was Christmas Eve, but I did end up finishing The Secret History. I cranked out the last 200 pages of the book, so let's talk about some of my final thoughts and opinions about The Secret History. Like I mentioned before, I was flying through the second portion of this book just because I wanted to know like how everything was going to end and the aftermath of the situation that happened as outlined in the prologue of this book. And I will say I feel like book 2, like there wasn't a ton of things that actually happened in terms of the plot. A lot of it was just like vibes. But I will say the very end did surprise me in some ways just because I feel like tonally it just like happened out of nowhere. As much as I love the writing style of Donna Tartt, I thought it was so wordy and descriptive, which really fit the academic setting and like the pretentious students. I love the character descriptions, even though like every single character was basically unlikable or insufferable in some way. And for the most part, I did enjoy the plot of the book. I don't know what about it, but I was expecting like just something more with The Secret History, just given how much it's talked about and hyped up. And something is like missing for the book, but I don't know really what that is. I could see myself enjoying The Secret History more during a reread because I feel like there was a lot of foreshadowing and other elements that came up throughout the course of the book that would be super interesting to read through a second time around, especially now that I know how the story truly ends. But yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. I think I'm gonna rate it like a 4.5 star for now. Maybe a 4.75 if I'm feeling very specific and very picky. But I could honestly see myself bumping up the rating more later on if I reread the book. I also started Cursed by Marissa Meyer last night. I read 4 chapters of it. I think it was like 30 or so pages. This is book 2 in the duology. I feel like I'm just in the beginning stages of the book where there's just a lot of reminders of what happened in book 1. So I'm just trying to get past that point and get into like the meat and the bones of the story, which I feel like it has already started. So I'm excited to find out the conclusion of the duology because I feel like there's kind of a lot of directions it could go into. So we will find out as I continue on reading. Hello. It's actually been a couple days. It's currently December 30th, so I have approximately less than 2 days to finish the books on my TBR slash what I'm currently reading. But since my last update, I did end up finishing Cursed by Marissa Meyer. I liked it for the most part. I feel like overall the duology is like a solid 4 star, maybe like a 3.75 if I'm being picky about it. I still really enjoyed the duology. And just based on how the first book, Gilded, ended, I felt like it really set up Cursed in a really interesting way to read about. So I really liked the beginning and middle of Cursed. I loved the addition of the castle and all the little monsters and creatures. And even though it had a darker tone, I thought it was just still fun to read about, and it definitely made you feel a lot of different things. I will say, I think my favorite character of the duology is actually the villain of the story because he had the most character depth, and even though he was evil and obviously the villain, he was still funny sometimes. So I had some complicated feelings about him, but I feel like that's what makes a good character is if you are able to have like complicated feelings about them. And while I did like the main character and the MMC, I felt like as development goes, they were pretty stationary from the start and finish of the duology. So even though I like them, I just like wasn't in love with them, and they definitely weren't as entertaining as the villain, in my humble opinion. But yeah, like I said, I really like the beginning and middle of Cursed, and unfortunately, the ending was a little bit of a miss for me. I felt like the very end was very rushed, and there was a lot of like hard hitting things that happened at the end, and you would think that the author would have taken time to like press pause on the scene and like really explore what the awful things were happening, but she really didn't. So it just felt very rushed at the end, which is unfortunate because obviously when you finish a book, the last thing that is on your mind is the ending. But I had to remember that I really enjoyed the beginning and the middle, and even though I didn't like the ending as much, I thought it was still like happy and good. It just like wasn't my favorite ending ever, but I still liked the majority of the book, hence my rating. But yeah, if you want a YA fantasy duology that is a fairy tale Rumpelstiltskin retelling, then feel free to check it out. I'm also still currently reading A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young, and in terms of the plot, I feel like what I explained at the beginning of the video, it's pretty much still the same, even though I'm at about 40% into the book so far. The main character, James, her twin, Johnny, died during a hunting accident, and essentially James returns back to their hometown in order to solve that mystery because she doesn't think it was just a hunting accident. And you come to learn that there was another accident that happened years and years prior that resulted in Johnny leaving behind their hometown, her twin, and all their friends. And I forgot to mention, there is a magical realism component of this book just because James felt the accident that was happening to Johnny at the time that it was happening. So she definitely feels like a stronger, I don't know, more spiritual connection to her twin. So that's where that magical realism element plays in. And there is a subplot of romance in the book as well, which I've been really enjoying. It's one of those romances where the two characters were childhood lovers. They loved each other first and have always loved each other, but just circumstances that happened resulted in them not being able to be together. And I don't know, it's just so devastating and heartwarming at the same time. So I've been really enjoying the romance in this book. I feel like it has like good tension and good yearning so far. So I'm excited to keep on reading and see what happens. I do really like Adrienne Young's writing style and just how she paints her scenes, especially the small town. It just feels so realistic and so alive, even though it's literally words on a page. And the way that she describes characters and settings, I feel like I can envision the scene inside my head, and I love that. I love her writing style. I feel like she is a phenomenal writer. So I've been really enjoying that part of Sea of Unspoken Things so far. But yeah, like I said, I'm about 40% into it. I have about 2.5 hours of reading time left. I can definitely finish that today or throughout the day if I really put my mind to it. And then, just to make things even harder, me and my friend have decided that we're also going to start and read A False Start by Elsie Silver before the year ends. So we have less than 2 days to do that, which, even though I think it would be a challenge, I still think it's very doable because I feel like Elsie Silver books are very easy to read. And I don't mean that as like an insult to her books or her writing style. I just mean the way she writes, it flows very easily together, and I'm able to read it very fast. Also, I feel like a lot of her writing is dialogue too, so it's just easier to read and faster to read, in my opinion. But me and my friend, we read the Gold Rush Ranch series together, so obviously we have to finish the series together, and we're gonna start and finish the last book of the series. I don't know too much about this book. I think it's like a brother's best friend type of thing. I don't really know. But yeah, I'm going to be starting that today slash tomorrow as well, and basically reading it in an entire day. So I have to read the last half or so of A Sea of Unspoken Things and also start and finish A False Start. So let's get to reading. Hello. It's currently New Year's Eve, hence my outfit. So it's the last day of 2024, and I'm very happy to say that I did finish all the books remaining on my TBR slash what I'm in the middle of. It's all done, so I can start 2025 with a fresh year and new books. But I thought I would give my final thoughts on books that I was reading the other day. I did end up finishing A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. I loved that book so much. I know I mentioned this before, but I love her writing style. I love how descriptive the characters and the setting are. Truly, the way she writes her books, the characters just feel so real and alive, and the settings also feel so real and alive too. So I truly loved the book. I love the characters. I love the connection that Johnny and James had being twins. I love the magical realism element that played into their connection. I love the romance. I was definitely rooting for them. I love the plot too. I will say the first half of the book is pretty much the same in terms of the plot, but the latter half of the book, you definitely start to find out a lot more things that are happening, and definitely at times it surprised me. So I felt like the tension and the mystery elements were definitely held up until the very end of the book. It was a 5-star. I'm so happy and excited that I did receive an e-arc of this book, so I got to read it early. Can't wait to own a physical copy of it because I will definitely be rereading it one day, considering I did have technically the uncorrected proof of the book. I also started A False Start by Elsie Silver yesterday, and I have thoughts because I finished it today. But I read most of it yesterday. It's the last book in the Gold Rush Ranch series, which I think is her first series that she published. I struggled through this book. It reminded me a little bit of Hopeless in some parts, and if you know me, if you watch me, you know I found Hopeless by Elsie Silver to be really disappointing. The fact that I got Hopeless vibes from A False Start just made me not like it as much. I don't know. I just really didn't feel the connection between the two characters. And one of the main tropes is it's an age gap romance, which is not exactly my cup of tea in the way that it is written in this book, because there's a lot of references to age is just a number, and I don't know, it just, none of that ever truly sits right with me, and I just don't like it when it's done. I feel like Elsie Silver has written other books that the main characters do have an age gap, but sometimes when she writes it that way, I'm not bothered by it because she doesn't bring it up like literally every other page. And then sometimes when she writes age gap romances, I feel like it's a very harped upon, and it's just not for me. I don't really like it that much. I still like Elsie Silver as an author overall. I loved the Chestnut Spring series, and I love her, I think it's the Rose Hill series, the one that she's currently writing right now, and I've loved all the books in that series so far, but I am excited for the books that she's going to be writing in the future because I feel like she really improved as a writer, and her characterization and just like the plot, I don't know, it just feels better with her more newer books. I ended up finishing 4 books in total: The Secret History, Cursed, A Sea of Unspoken Things, and A False Start, which all of those are vastly different books. And that just sums up me as a reader and the books that I like to read. I don't know if I could ever just commit to reading just one genre. I feel like I like to have a wide variety of genres to read at a time. But anyways, that concludes this video. I'm very excited for 2025 to start. I'm very excited to start the books that I do have on my TBR next year. Hopefully next year is a better year for everyone. If you want to follow me elsewhere, I'm also on TikTok for now, and Instagram. It's Maddie Read 6. Until next time, I'll see you later.